Welcome to this Government Monitoring training session. My name is Roger Blundell, founder of educationRnR, and thank you for joining me. I've worked across education governance and recruitment for many years, beginning my governance journey back in 2009 before moving into education recruitment in 2015. Alongside leading educationRnR, I've also served within multi-academy trust governance, including as chair of trustees, supporting schools around strategic leadership, accountability and improvement. Prior to working in education, I served for over 12 years in the British Army as a senior non-commissioned officer, where leadership, structure, communication and accountability were central to everything we did. Those experiences continue to shape my approach to governance and organisational leadership today. At educationRnR, we work closely with schools, trusts and education leaders across recruitment, consultancy and governance support, helping organisations strengthen leadership capacity and deliver positive outcomes for staff and pupils. This session is designed to support governors, trustees and governance professionals in understanding what effective monitoring should look like in practice. We'll explore what governor monitoring is and what it is not, how to prepare for meaningful monitoring visits, how monitoring should link strategically to school priorities, and how governors can ensure monitoring reports provide genuine value and impact. Monitoring is not about inspection or operational management. Done properly, it's about understanding, assurance, strategic challenge and supporting school improvement. This session is also proudly sponsored by Education Direct, the free education job board connecting schools with high quality teaching and support staff opportunities across the sector. I hope you find the session useful and practical. Let's get started. The aim of this session is really to help provide some clarity around what effective governor monitoring looks like, why it matters, and how we ensure visits are meaningful, proportionate and genuinely useful from a governance perspective. Firstly, it's important to remember that monitoring visits are not inspections and governors are not inspectors. Our role as governors is strategic, not operational. Monitoring visits help us understand the school better, seek assurance, support challenge where appropriate, and connect what we see back to the school, improvement plan, self-evaluation form, and wider trust priorities. Done properly, monitoring strengthens governance and improves the quality of discussion we have as an LGB. It should help governors understand both strengths and areas of risk, rather than relying purely on papers or verbal updates within meetings. So what makes good monitoring visits? The key word here is purpose. Every monitoring visit should have a clear focus, a clear reason, and a clear intended outcome. Visits should never feel like governors are simply turning up because they need to do a visit. Governor monitoring is planned, proportionate, and respectful of staff time. It should also align to strategic priorities within the SIP or SEF. For example, attendance, SEND, safeguarding, curriculum priorities, behaviour, well-being, or another agreed area. A meaningful visit with clear outcomes is significantly more valuable than multiple visits that don't really achieve anything. It's also important that staff understand the purpose of the visit beforehand so that everybody is clear on expectations and the visit feels collaborative rather than intrusive. A lot of successful monitoring actually happens before the visit itself. Dates should be arranged well in advance wherever possible so staff know who is attending, the focus of the visit, what information may be needed, and what the intended outcomes are. Preparation is really important for governors too. Before attending a visit, governors should ideally review the SIP, the SEF, any previous monitoring reports, relevant data, and any existing actions or risks linked to that area. Importantly, it doesn't always need to be with a head teacher. Depending on the focus, it may be more appropriate to meet with the SENCO, attendance lead, safeguarding lead, curriculum lead, or another relevant member of staff. That often leads to more focused and informed discussion. During the visit itself, governors should remain very aware of the scope of governance. We are there to ask questions, understand, and seek assurance. We're not there to inspect teaching, manage staff, or direct operational work. Good monitoring conversations are usually open, professional, collaborative, and link back to strategic priorities and impact. Simple questions often work best, such as what progress has been made? What are the biggest challenges currently? How are leaders measuring impact? What support may be required? Are there any emerging risks? Governors should also avoid making assumptions based on isolated observations. Monitoring is about understanding the bigger picture rather than forming conclusions from a single visit. One of the most important things is ensuring visits always link back to the SIP and SEF. Monitoring should not sit separately from school improvement priorities. If visits become disconnected from the SIP, they can easily become activity without strategic value. For example, attendance visits should connect to attendance targets. SEND visits should connect to inclusion priorities. Curriculum visits should connect to quality of education priorities. Safeguarding visits should connect to safeguarding priorities and compliance. This strategic alignment helps governors understand whether improvement work is actually progressing and whether risks are being appropriately managed. After the visit, the quality of the monitoring report becomes really important. The report is what allows the wider LGB to understand what was discussed, what was observed, what assurance was gained, and whether any risk or actions emerged. Reports should summarise discussions clearly, identify strengths, identify concerns or risks, and support future governance discussion. Outputs should ideally be SMART, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. If recommendations or actions are included, there should ideally be clarity around who owns the action, what success looks like, and when progress will be reviewed. Otherwise, there is a risk that monitoring becomes a paper exercise without clear follow-through. This session is proudly sponsored by Education Direct. Education Direct has been designed to help schools and trusts connect directly with high-quality educators in a smarter, more cost-effective way. One of the biggest challenges schools continue to face is balancing recruitment quality, speed, and cost. Education Direct aims to simplify that process by reducing unnecessary middlemen, costs, while still keeping quality and relationships at the centre of recruitment. Whether schools are recruiting teachers, support staff, or leadership roles, the platform is designed to provide a more direct and efficient approach. If you'd like to learn more, advertise vacancies, or explore opportunities, you can visit educationRnR.com/education direct. One really important point is that reports should first be shared with the staff member involved before wider circulation. This helps ensure factual accuracy, professional tone, and a shared understanding. It also helps maintain positive and collaborative relationships between governors and staff. Once agreed, reports should then be uploaded appropriately and referenced during future LGB discussions where relevant. Monitoring should really be reviewed as a cycle: visit, report, discussion, follow-up, and review of impact. The visit itself is only one part of effective governance oversight. The expectation is that governors complete at least 2 monitoring visits per academic year, although some link roles may naturally involve more depending on priorities or responsibilities. The aim, however, is not simply quantity. Monitoring should add value, improve understanding, support strategic oversight, and strengthen governance discussion. Visits should also be spread sensibly across the year rather than all taking place immediately before meetings. The overall aim is to create a culture where monitoring is consistent, purposeful, supportive, and strategically aligned. None of us start governance as experts. Developing confidence takes time. There are some very useful training resources available through organisations such as the NGA, TES, and the Key. Areas like monitoring and challenge, safeguarding, attendance, SEND, finance, and understanding data. These can all help governors become more confident and effective. Training is especially important because effective challenge relies on governors understanding the context, risks, and information being presented to them. So just to finish, effective monitoring is really about understanding, strategic oversight, challenge, and improvement. Done well, it helps governors identify risks early, understand the school more deeply, support improvement priorities, and fulfil their governance role more effectively. And probably the biggest point I'd leave everyone with is this. Monitoring is not about catching people out. It's about helping the LGB understand the school well enough to provide meaningful support, challenge, and governance in a professional and constructive way. So before we finish, thank you again for taking the time to watch this session. Strong governance plays a vital role in supporting schools, strengthening accountability, and improving outcomes for pupils and staff. Effective monitoring is not about inspection. It's about understanding your school well enough to provide meaningful support, challenge, and strategic oversight. At educationRnR, we are passionate about supporting schools, trusts, and education leaders through trusted recruitment partnerships, governance insight, and practical sector experience. If you found this session useful, please consider subscribing to the channel, sharing the video with other governors or trustees, and following educationRnR for future governance, leadership, and education-focused content. To learn more about educationRnR, visit www.educationRnR.com. And to explore Education Direct, the smarter way to recruit, visit www.educationRnR.com/education direct. Thank you for watching.